Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel, Wrestling with Books, and welcome back to Bookmas in July. Bookmas normally takes place during the holiday season where booktubers will post a video every day of the month of December. It's like a take on Vlogmas, but the channel Haley in Bookland had coined it Bookmas. And so I thought this year I would have a Bookmas in July. So I am posting a video every day through the month of July. So thank you for tuning in to this one. Today we're going to be talking about my recent young adult book reads. And I have to say, when I became obsessed with books, it was through reading young adult books. You know, Twilight, Hunger Games, those were like the gateway books that got me really hooked on reading. And then I've been reading I read all sorts of books, but lately I've been going back to some young adult books, and I have to find each time I do, they are my favorite reads. So all of these that I recently read that I'm going to be telling you about, they're among my favorites. So let's get to it. I'm going to be looking at my phone. Okay, the first one is The Other Merlin, and this is by Robin Schneider. This is a Camelot retelling, which I love, and this tells the story of Emery Merlin. She has a twin brother who, because he is a boy, is the one who is going to inherit being the sorcerer, the wizard in Camelot, specifically for Arthur, who is the king's son at this point. But her brother has, you know, he's not really driven, he doesn't really care, he's more focused on girls, and Emery ends up going undercover pretending to be her brother to take advantage of the opportunity he has doing wizardry at the castle. This book is so good. You do have a love story blossoming, but Emery's undercover as a boy, but she and Arthur are getting all these feels for each other. You get the period element of this. I love this book. It's one of my favorites of the year and highly recommended. The next young adult book I read, another one that's my favorite one of my favorites of the year, is The Corpse Queen by Heather Herman. I think this came recommended to me from the Brightside Girl on YouTube, because I know she did a Frankenstein retelling video, and this isn't a Frankenstein retelling, but there are Frankensteinish elements. This tells the story of an orphan girl who is sent to live with her Aunt Ava, or her Aunt Ava, after a long time of not being together, sends for her, and her aunt is known as the Corpse Queen. And Molly finds out that basically in this world, dead bodies are almost valuable because people are using them for science and for study and for presentations, not necessarily all for the purpose of bringing back life like Frankenstein, but for other medicinal things. But the more deformed the body is, the more prized it becomes. It's really warped but written so well. The love interest is fantastic. This was a roller coaster. I'm surprised more people aren't talking about it. I love The Corpse Queen, so I think everybody should read it. Add it to your list. Everybody should read it. The next book I read, which I've done a dedicated review for on this channel, so I'm not going to get too into it here. It's not a young adult, it's middle grade, but I will mention it. And it's a duet for home by Karina Yan Glaser, and this is about two orphans and their experience, which are each different, living in a homeless shelter. So if you're interested in hearing more about that, you could check it out there. And then another middle grade book I want to mention is Crown Heist. The Crown Heist. This is part of a series. This is by Duran R. Hicks, and basically I'll keep this one quick because it's not a young adult book, but this is like the Da Vinci Code for kids. I love it. I love it. It was so fun, and it wasn't I mean, having read the Da Vinci Code as an adult, obviously this like wasn't that, you know, but it was something that I think teens and young adults would really, really love. So I was all for it. The next one I read is called Wild Seed Witch by Marty Dumas, and I got this from NetGalley, and I wanted to really love it, but the book just didn't hit the mark for me. More so the magic system. It was all based around flowers, and I just could not get into it. But I wanted to mention it here in case it's anybody's here cup of tea. Maybe it's your cup of tea and you'll be able to read it. I think I'm just gonna have to title this Young Adult and Middle Grade Reads because I have another middle grade, and I decided to play around with my tripod while my battery's dying to make everything more complicated as I talk about books. And now I'm angled off, so we'll just, okay. So the next book I read was Alcatraz vs. the Evil Librarians by Sanderson, and I picked up on NetGalley. So my camera did die, and I think I'm gonna finish this out here in the kitchen because while it was charging, I started cooking, and I'm just more relaxed in here. But it's like, who films in their kitchen when you're not cooking, when it's not like a recipe channel, you know? But I do. I film in my kitchen, so maybe I'll start doing more videos just here. I don't know, because I feel it. I feel comfortable near food. So the book I was talking about was Alcatraz and the Evil Librarians, which is exactly as it sounds. It's a boy named, they're all like in his lineage, or people are named after like great prisons, but really the prisons are named after, it's a whole thing. It's very tongue-in-cheek, a lot of humor. It is young adult, middle grade, kind of like how the first Percy Jackson was. You're like, this could be younger, you know, teen boys would like it too. That's kind of how I feel about it. And it's about a boy named Alcatraz who is an orphan or foster child. He's in foster care a lot, and he just breaks things all the time. And it turns out that's part of his talent as a smedry. He finds out his lineage, that they have these secret powers. His grandfather comes from him. We don't know who his parents are still, and he goes on this journey versus the Evil Librarians. It was a lot. The world, even though this was like a middle grade book, I still had trouble understanding this world. I appreciated the humor and the writing, but I just could not keep up with like where these librarians came from and why they're evil and the smedries. But it was fun. It was fun. So maybe for somebody else it will be easier to follow. And the next young adult read, this one was young adult, is The Ivies by Alexa Dunn. And we all know Alexa Dunn from YouTube. She posts videos, as I guess we call it, AuthorTube here. And I had heard about her. Of course, I've been following her a long time, but The Ivies in particular sounded like a book I would like, rather than a book I'm reading just because it's someone I recognize, but also something I was reading because the premise sounded good. So it's about these 4 girls, and maybe there's 5 of them actually. These girls go to a special academy where your academics are of the utmost importance, and many of these kids are on track towards going to an Ivy League school or a special hard to get into university or school. And we have a group of girls who call themselves the Ivies. There is a Regina George to this group. Her name in this is Avery, and she is kind of the ringleader and has bullied these girls into each focusing on their own Ivy League school, which leaves Harvard free for Avery. But we find out on early acceptance day that Emma has been accepted to Harvard, and Avery is not happy. Not too long after though, Emma shows up, or turns up dead. Not good. And Olivia, who ends up being our main character and also got accepted to Harvard, which Avery doesn't know, begins investigating this because she feels there is foul play and that one of the Ivies could be involved. So I loved that this was a boarding school. I loved that it was about, you know, colleges and college essays and all that stress we all went through. I mean, if you're going through it now, you're gonna really love this. But even if you went through it once upon a time, or I didn't even really go through it myself because I didn't, you know, I just went to school like at home. It still was just a fun environment and atmosphere to read about. I really liked the cattiness of the girls and hearing all the bad things the Ivies did to eliminate other people from getting into their schools or getting some of the accolades that they were after. So it was really, really fun and fascinating. So I think you should add the Ivies to your list. You know, when I'm in the kitchen, I just talk about a book so much more. It's something about these kitchen feels. Another one of my favorite books of the year. I can't believe more people are talking about it and demanding more books from this, is Vengeance Road by Erin Bowman. And this tells the story of Kate, and this takes place in like a Western era. It's historical and gold mines and oh, so exciting. So okay, Kate's father is murdered by a group of like, they're the, you know, they're called the Rose Riders, okay? They're bad news. And they kill her father trying to find a map of gold. And it's always just been Kate and her father. And he has always told her, if anything happens to me, you are to go here. So she goes to the man he tells her to. He has passed too, but his sons have also been waiting for her and were told by their father too to expect somebody to be coming. And she finds out that they had found gold, and this was during the whole like gold rush madness. And it you know, sometimes riches, you know, are not as they seem. So that's why it was kind of secretive. And this goes about her trying to avenge her father's deaths with the Rose Riders. But to be taken seriously, she masquerades as a man named Kate. As a boy named Nate. She is a woman named Kate, but she presents herself as Nate. She ends up falling for one of the brothers. It is really, really good. It's interesting because the other Merlin involved that happening too. So just some themes. It's not something I seek out, but it happened. And man, so let me tell you, like Vengeance Road, The Other Merlin, Corpse Queen, and the Ivies. Those four in particular are some of my favorites so far of the year, and I highly recommend them. And it's been reminding me that I liked young adult books, so I shouldn't count them out. I should work more at involving them in my TBRs and into what I'm reading. So that's what I'm going to be trying to do through the rest of this year, because it was so much fun reading those. What's also fun is that I'm going to have a video up tomorrow. So be sure to come back and see what else is happening here on Wrestling with Books. And I also have my other channel, Wrestling with Disney, where I talk about the nerdy things, Disney, wrestling, and the like. Thanks for being here, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.